Carla, if you don't mind, please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Phillips?
Present.
Commissioner McAdoo?
Here.
Commissioner Boyd?
Here.
Commissioner Gooch?
Here.
Commissioner Johnson?
Present.
Commissioner Pease?
Here.
Chairman Carr?
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see anybody listed for public comments. Do we have anybody for
No,
Carla?
sir.
Okay, no public comments. As a reminder to the committee, this is a special called meeting as a result of the opening of 3 bids that were taken under advisement this past Tuesday. So we have 3 of them. So we'll begin with the first one, which is Rutherford County Recovery Court Occupational Therapy Services. Ms. Rochelle Ricks, if you'll tell us where we're at and what we need to do, or what your recommendation is, and we would appreciate it.
Okay. Good evening. I reviewed the bid that we received. We only received the one from Mind the Gap. I did, Commissioner P, for your question. We sent it to Mind the Gap, Feltz Therapy, and Rehab Without Walls. Those were the 3. I also contacted Adorations, and they do physical occupational therapy, and our occupational therapy is mental health occupational therapy, so they don't provide that service. So after reviewing the bids, I talked to Reba, as your question was about the cost. We currently contract for our mental health occupational therapy for $87.50. The bid went up to $90. She said that the grant that we have can cover the difference. She said it's not a big deal. So knowing all of that, we would like to accept the bid from Mind the Gap for our occupational therapy services.
So the committee has a recommendation. Questions from the committee?
How long is this contract for?
5 years.
Do we have a chance to bail if we wanted to, or is that just 5 years solid? Is it, you can add it on every so often?
I believe in the contract that we currently have with them, it renews yearly, so if we need to get out, yes, so we can.
Motion to approve the
We have a
recommendation.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, if there is no objection. Commissioner Gooch?
No.
Okay. I don't want to cut anybody off.
My mouth came open.
Well, usually, Commissioner Gooch, when someone's mouth comes open, they're getting ready to speak, and I want to be attentive in that regard. So, okay, thank you. Without objection, Carla, if you will call the roll, please.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Commissioner Pease?
Yes.
Chairman Carr?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Ritz. Thank you very much. You have a pleasant
Merry
week.
Christmas. Happy
Merry
holidays.
Christmas.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you.
Do we need to sign something on that one, Carla?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Good job.
Yep, very good job.
You know, Bishop is a really good
Bishop, okay. It's a girl, baby girl Bishop. That's gonna
he can
work.
break boundaries.
That's kind of cute.
The committee doesn't have an objection. I'm going to take one out of order. I'm going to let Mr. Brooks go next for the full depth reclamation. You're third, but I'm going to take you second. We may be getting some details with the next, with the road work, the intersection, 600 feet. So as the committee will recall, we received one bid for full depth reclamation for the approximately 4,000 linear feet. Is that right?
That's correct.
So I don't know if the committee remembers, but when we put this out to bid, Greg kind of did an explanation as to what FDR. So Greg, we got one bidder. Do you mind explaining a little bit about what FDR is, why it's necessary, why you believe it's necessary, and the bid, and you think if it's acceptable, if you don't mind, and then
Sure.
let the committee ask questions.
Okay. FDR, or full depth reclamation, is a process where the ground is, it's very similar to what we used to call soil stabilization. It's where the ground is tilled up, and then there's, it used to be calcium, but now it's actual Portland cement that's added to it, and it's tilled again with some water added to it, a small amount of water added to it. and it just creates basically a concrete. So,
A hard surface.
yeah, very much so. And it's done in areas where there's unsuitable soil or inadequate bearing capacity. So the section of Landfill Road that we're going to use this on is the section where the footprint of the road is going to be in the same place when it's finished that it is now. The section beyond that, there's going to be some significant changes to where the road exists, to realign some curves, cut down some hills, and just make it more conducive to trailer truck traffic. The curves are too tight, the road's too narrow, so it wouldn't make sense to do it on that part because we're actually moving the road. But where we're going to leave the road in the same footprint, this is a good way to ensure that we have the bearing capacity needed to support the truck traffic. So,
If we were to accept this bid and the work were to begin, how soon could the work begin? And would you then have to put asphalt topping on it like you would the other parts of the road that you're going to realign?
So it's very weather dependent. If we decide to award this contractor with this work, then I'll get him out there and we'll talk about just what the parameters are, what he's comfortable with doing, because I'm not 100% sure what those weather parameters are. However, I do know that we being the highway department, have some work to do in front of him before it is ready for him. So it'll take us a few days to do that work, no more than 2 weeks. And when he comes in, I really think 5 days he'll be in and out.
Oh, wow.
Now, to answer the
On all 4,000 feet?
Yes, sir. And that's maintaining traffic the whole time. It's really a pretty fast process. And that's another thing that's really great about this process is the other option is to remove all the unsuitable material and replace it with shot rock and base stone and asphalt. So it takes a lot longer and a significantly more amount of money. So to answer the second part of your question, yes, there will still be an asphalt surface on top of what he leaves us. However, it will be much thinner than it will be where the asphalt exists just on regular base stone. But my plan is, because there's going to be so much traffic there, that I'm going to put 2 layers of asphalt on it. Neither one of them will be very thick, but we could potentially do one of those, and when the weather is less, favorable, save the next one for spring when we do the entire section of road, this part and the other part that we're realigning. So it's all very weather dependent. I feel like this contractor is ready to go when we're ready, but I have to get him out there and kind of go over what all's going to go on to prep for him, and then what he thinks his timeline will be and what his weather constraints are.
Have you had an opportunity to review the bid?
I have.
And
It is, to me, it's very much in order. It's a very reasonable bid. Now, I do know that all of us have seen enough bids that none of us are comfortable when we only have one bidder. But to that end, we do have 3 roads that are listed in our road book that have this, that have some are portions and some are in their entirety that have this process has been done on. Now, it was not done by the county or by the highway department. It was done by the contractor in an effort to get the highway department to accept it, because they had failed before they were turned over to us. And they've held up very well, and all 3 of those were done by this contractor. I was on site on all 3 of those projects, and I know that they are very well organized and they have good equipment. I'm confident they can do the work, and I believe the price is good. So
is that a recommendation?
that is a recommendation for approval.
What is the price? What was the price?
It was $158,332.
Just by a tad.
You said you're gonna go back and talk to him. You think he may be coming back with a revised or ask for a revision?
No, it's more about scheduling and just how the process is going to work. I don't think I do not anticipate having to come back and have another conversation because we need to do more or less than what's included in this bid.
Most of your comments were because we're in the dead of winter.
Yes, sir. And it's Tennessee. You know, we may have a mild winter and we may have a severe winter. So,
Hadn't been good so far.
right.
I don't have any questions, and if nobody else does, I'm move that we accept the recommendation, move to approve.
Second. Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a second. Any further discussion? If there is no further discussion, if no objection, Carla, call the roll.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Phillips.
Yes.
Commissioner McAdoo.
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd.
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson.
Aye.
Commissioner P.
Yes.
Chairman Carr.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Greg.
Thank you all.
And I know I speak on behalf of the committee. We're very pleased that you're doing this on behalf of the county, you and the highway department. We are, because your level of expertise and your ability to analyze things for us brings us a lot of comfort. I think I can speak that for everybody.
But we're all trying to get to the same place. So.
Yes, we are. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Merry Christmas, Carlos.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
That brings us to the third item on our agenda, and our final item. It's the phase one, which is the first 600 feet and the intersection connecting Landfill Road to Jefferson Pike. Mark Lee has reviewed that. Mark, if you will come forward, please, sir.
There are 4 copies down here.
And tell us what you
Copies
did,
down here.
why you did it, and if you have a recommendation.
Okay, what I've given you each is 3 sheets. The first is the recommendation letter, and actually, 2 pages. And the next 2 pages are 11 to 17s, and the first one is a checklist of the bid packages that I went through, and to evaluate if the bids were acceptable. And then the last page is the tabulation of those bids. So I'll start with the first 11 by 17, and that lists all bid packages. You see bid book number on the left, 1 through 6. There was 1 bid package that was not issued. There were the remainder were issued, and you go to the next column or a couple columns over, and you'll see that no bid was submitted by 2 of those, and it gives the bid prices that were on the bid form. And then as you go from under the heading required on outside of sealed envelope, I checked those, and you'll see that LNG Construction has a no under one of those, and I footnoted that as number 1. They didn't name the project exactly right, but that's minor. So I moved on over it, and you'll see their license expiration dates. There is a footnote on the bottom one for LNG Construction. That's footnote 2. They labeled they provided a copy of their license, their Tennessee contractor's license, and it said it expired in April 30th of this year. So then I went to the website, and typically, let me stop right there. Typically, we would get through to this point and for other projects and not open those bids, not open that bid. But I looked up on the state website, and you see my note number 2 over here. The bid proposal inside of the package, and the state of Tennessee website says that their license expires in 2 years, so, or April of 2026. So no issues there. And then go over to the next item, which I have a footnote 3, and below that, you'll see minimum classifications for this project. And it's required that they have an HRA A, B, and E classification for contractor's license. And if they had just a HRA, that's all inclusive, and everything's good. As long as they have that, the A, B, and E, they're good. And so you'll see on L&G Construction that they had the HRA, but they didn't have the B and E. The MU is municipal utilities, and the unlimited is the amount of work they're licensed to do, but they don't have the HRA-B and HRA-E, so therefore they're not qualified.
So if I can ask a question, so the B is the licensure for paving, correct?
That's correct.
And they don't have a current license to do the paving, is that correct?
That's correct, which is a big deal for this project.
I would say it's a small problem.
Yeah.
I'm being somewhat sarcastic there, gentlemen. It's more than small.
Yeah. So that, I noted that in note 3, that the HRA-B is for paving.
Yes, that's my apologies, yes it is.
Yeah. And so as we continue going across, you'll see on Hawkins & Price, I have a no under addenda number 1. They did not acknowledge that. And in the previous project that we bid, it was off-site utilities, and we didn't have some wording in there that Nick, the county attorney, was comfortable with after. I mean, he had already viewed this quite a while back, but he said he wanted to add something in there. And so after it was bid, we added the wording in there that he wanted to add, and it was no issue with the contractor. And that same wording was added in here, but we did it by way of an addendum. But also,
If I can, Mark, what was the wording in the addendum that you're in reference to, if you don't mind? There was only one addendum issued, correct?
That's correct.
And this is that addendum, correct?
Yes. Let's see, there's 2 parts of that, and it was in section 330 and 514. It's essentially the same wording. Let's see if I can find it. The bidder hereby agrees to commence work under this contract on or before a date to be specified in a written notice to proceed, and to complete the entire project fully by April 30th, 2025.
That's the addendum, correct?
Yes, the notice to proceed date is expected to be set by mid-January 2025. And then section 514 says the same thing. And it's no big deal, but when I called Hawkins & Price and I told them that, they said we didn't receive it. And I said, well, you know, when I send out bids, I want to make sure that I cross all the T's and dot all the I's. And I sent it out by return receipt. And I have the list of those that received that addendum, and they were on there. It's no big deal. I asked them, I said, do you have any problem with this wording? Because we discussed this very wording, the idea of the date of completion at the pre-bid meeting, and they were there. So I knew they didn't have a problem with it, but since they didn't check that off, I had to ask them, and they said, we don't have any problem with that. It's a matter of finishing by April 30th of 2025. And I know the county's not going to be hard-nosed about that. If something were to come up, it could possibly be extended, but they didn't have any issue with it. I don't have any issue with it. I consider it a minor infraction. Infraction is not the word that I used in the letter. Let's see what I did use. a minor informality or deviation. And so, being minor, I recommend that be waived. They have no issue with it. They knew about it at the pre-bid meeting, and for some reason, they overlooked the email. So,
Any way to get them, if we accept their bid,
yes.
if we do, any way to get them to initial or to sign the.
It's in the contract already.
It would
So
be in the contract.
when I issued the addendum, I went ahead and updated the documents so that when they're printed for signing, that's already in there.
Okay.
Okay,
So just to be clear to the community, they would be accepting this April 30th deadline date.
yes.
Thank you.
And so as you go on across, you'll see Wiregrass Construction. It says Certificate of Non-Illegal Immigrant Use. They did provide that. It was dated December 20th of 17. You know, I don't have that much of an issue with that one, but nonetheless, it's irregular. And then as we go across, you'll see on check for specification compliance, L&G Construction, they did not sign that certificate. It's not included in there. In fact, this whole bid package, it was like somebody dropped it and picked it up at every page out of order. I mean, it was just out of order. It was frustrating to try to review. Number 7, going across, bid bond. They did not fill in their bid bond amount. They provided a bid bond and they just put 5% and they're supposed to put in the value. But anyway, I think we stop at number 3, note number 3, and that excludes them from qualification.
You're talking about L&G at this point.
L&G, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so, if we go on to the next page, bid tabulation, does anybody have any questions about any of that?
This Hawkins and Price was where
They were the next little bit.
yeah, but where's the company located?
Around Chevrolet.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
They do a lot of work right here.
Thank you.
Very good reputation. And so when you look at the bid tabulation, you'll see that there were no errors in Hawkins and Price bid amounts. When they tabulated, the written amount matched the spreadsheet total. And the same thing for Jarrett Builders, no errors on theirs. And so the way I see it, we have 2 qualified responsive bidders, and that is Hawkins and Price and Jarrett Builders. And Hawkins and Price bid was for the amount of $896,535 and no cents. And that is my recommendation and is stated in this letter of recommendation to you. So you have any questions?
I've got a curiosity question. On their itemized bid, traffic control, one was 70,000 and one was 388,000.
Yeah.
It seems to me that that overage is what failed to get them to compete. Also on mobilization. What is mobilization? It's the last
Well,
item.
it can include a lot of things.
Okay.
You know, when they put together their bids, they look for places that they can put other items that are going to cost them money, like their bonding and other issues. And so that's a place for them to park those numbers. So, and they may have, one bidder may put it under one thing and one another. I've had one bidder that spread it amounts, everything, and then it was.
Yeah. Well, in your opinion, I mean, I'm just curious of why the traffic control would be so that big difference.
I don't know. That's a good question. And what they do often is they hire that out, and it may be that their sub on that was just a lot higher than the sub that the other contractor used.
I mean, I think that item right there is what,
And you know, you have to take into
Need 'em for-
consideration,
yeah.
this is working in a TDOT right of way, so the level of traffic control expected will be higher for
yeah.
this project.
It was just a
But
good
yeah,
item.
there's still a lot of difference between the
Yeah.
two.
A lot of traffic there too.
Yes. Yes.
So this is a good presentation, a good report. It's very thorough.
I will tell you, this took me more than a day. It's more like a day and a half or where it was.
On behalf of the community, thank you.
But, you know, I'll say that because of the challenges I found with a bidder. I just wanted to cover all the bases. It somewhat scared me to say I don't recommend using, you know. So I just wanted to cover all the bases, and I was double checking, triple checking, trying to be thorough.
Protecting the county, I appreciate that.
Yes.
But if your recommendation is Hawkins and Price, I'll move for Hawkins and Price.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Further discussion? If there is none, and if there is no objection, call the roll on the recommendation for Hawkins and Price.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Phillips?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner McDaniel?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Commissioner P?
Yes.
Chairman Carr?
Yes. One final thing. Thank you, Carla. Thank you, committee. On this particular bid, what is it that the committee needs to sign?
Let me get that.
Normally we sign a
Yeah.
RFP or something, but we've got a spreadsheet and I don't know what you want us to sign.
We're gonna sign
Perfect.
this guy.
Thank you.
Which one is
This is talking to truck.
he? Okay, thank you. Let's see. You're on top of it. Okay, there you go.
Mark, I appreciate this. You really do good work when you put it in a spreadsheet, you explain it, and it goes pretty well.
It usually takes a lot less time than this one did.
I can appreciate your challenge.
I think the day and a half was spent on that little bit, probably right.
Well, no, they can jump back on.
That's what it's
Commissioner Johnson? Our next meeting, gentlemen, is if we have business. Right now, we don't have anything on agenda for January 14th, but I will contact you a week before. Commissioner Boyd, again, welcome back. It's good to see you. Commissioner Johnson, you're doing better, right?
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. Gentlemen, you have a Merry Christmas. Thank you for your help. We're adjourned.